Hey, everybody. How are you doing? Happy Wednesday, middle of the week, hump day. Yes. Julia's back with us today. Julia, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, Tony.
Fantastic. I'll tell you what, over the last day or so, I've been seeing plenty of things popping up on Instagram.
Oh, cool.
Where people are making starts on their work.
That is exciting. Really, I didn't know that. Since I'm totally removed from social media, I'm glad someone's keeping an eye on that.
I've got you back in that regard. I am checking it out, but I have noticed that quite a few of our lovely community here, who we'll say hello to in just a moment, they're getting involved. So
that is fantastic.
Here we are with you again.
Again,
and it's great. Just remind everybody what we're doing this week.
Mm-hmm. Me or you?
Yeah, no, you remind everybody what you do.
Okay, I remind you again, since I've already told you on Monday. My plan is, again, to confuse everybody who's watching as much as possible, and then I leave the stream and have lunch like I did on Monday. Remember?
That works. And the vehicle that Julia is using to confuse everyone is a portrait painting challenge. And we'll talk more about that in just a second. But first of all, let's say hello to some of our lovely people. So who have we got in the chat? We've got Kirsty. Hi, baby.
Hey, Kirsty.
We've got Michelle. Hi, baby. We've got Angus. Hi, baby.
Hey, darling.
We've got Sean. Hi, baby.
Hi, honey. Hi, sweetheart.
We've got Steve in there.
Hey, Steve.
Kiora, Steve. Hi, baby. We've got Keith. We've got me. I'm in there. Wow. Stephen's here as well. Hey, baby.
Lovely.
We've got Dawn. Hello, darling. We've got Daryl here as well. So we've got a brace of Ficklings, which is really good. And Tim, as always, in the chat, and also right behind us because he's got our backs and he does the magic.
Yeah. Tim is everywhere.
Strangers.
It's almost
everywhere.
Oh,
he is. He is. And there you go. And I don't know if you lot heard that, but he just said, "Hey, baby," in our ears. There we go. So now we've got to cover a couple of things off actually before we start today.
Yes.
For people that maybe didn't catch it on Monday or are just sort of picking up just now, we need to let them know what they need to do to get involved in the challenge, what they could win if they do get involved, and how to submit their work. So I think over to you for that. I think we'll go that way. How's that?
Okay. So what I want you to do, and I actually have a piece of paper here because Tim really was clear that I have to be very specific on what I want from you. I want you to paint a portrait either of yourself or someone else and submit this piece of portrait on our Discord channel till Friday. So this is what, when, and where, right, Tim? Did I have that covered?
That
a portrait
to me.
Till Friday on Discord. And what you can win is actually amazing. You can win the smallest violin in the world.
Here it is. I'm going to play it.
Yeah, and since he's playing that, we have sad news for everybody who's already won a subscription, which is the prize. You can't win again. But everybody else, yes, you can win a 1-year subscription of Creative Cloud. And that's, I think, pretty easy, especially after everything you learned on Monday. And if you haven't watched that yet, you should again. And, the replay is still on Behance. Or I actually created a Behance project on my Behance where you... Tim, can you show that? There is link.
There it is.
And here are all the videos in there. And also here's a quick reminder of everything that we've covered. So you are not lost. It's all right there. All this knowledge at your fingertips. Okay.
Excellent. And of course, go on. Sorry, you were going to say.
No, go ahead.
No, I was going to say that don't forget people in the chat. You can ask questions. Now, if you're on YouTube, of course, just before we get rolling properly, you might think, but I'm chatting here and no one's chatting to me. Well, it's not the chat you're after. No. Not the chat you're looking for. No, absolutely. What you want to do is come across to behance.net/Adobe Live. And then you can get involved in the chat and ask questions, which, when relevant, I'll pop them across to Julia and she can answer them for you. So I think it's time we got cracking, don't you?
Yeah, I think it's time we get cracking. Kraken, okay.
Let's do it.
Let's release the Kraken because today we have 1.5 hours to actually get down to business. We'll be painting today. But before we do that, I want you to be reminded of what we actually covered on Monday. We talked about 3 fundamentals that are really important and actually all you need to start painting. These are shapes, values, and edges. So again, shapes are a combination of the lights and the darks and the lights and the shadows. You know the deal. Values, you have lights, halftones, and darks. You want to keep them separated. And edges, they're just fun to play with. So this is actually all you have to remember. And Tony, what's the most important rule that I said on Monday that's even more important than all the fundamentals? Do you remember?
I was reading.
Be kind to yourself.
Be kind to yourself, yes.
Always be kind to yourself.
Yeah, it's just that your BF has just turned up in the chat, so I just thought I'd just mention
Hello,
right.
Hey baby. Okay, so here is my file, and I'm gonna actually hide my hello here. And here we go. That's the portrait that I choose to paint today. I was on unsplash.com and I was looking for some portraits, and I couldn't actually decide which one I wanted to go with. And I mean, at the end, I decided to choose this one, but I also like this. There's some beautiful shapes and values in here, and this is beautiful too. But something really was intriguing about this portrait, so that's the one I'm going with. Of course, when you make your choice, there's some things that you want to consider, and that's maybe a nice contrast in the image, nice lights, light and darks that you want to choose. Maybe you even take a new picture of yourself or your friend or whoever you want to paint. And here is the original file, actually, and you can see it's still in color. And we don't want that since we don't cover color this week. So I went in there and I gave it an adjustment layer on black and white. You can also go to image, adjustments, and then mode, go to grayscale if you want. So I removed the color from the image. And then what you could do is also add some levels. So in the level panels, there are actually some presets that you might find handy if you want to adjust your reference image. So maybe you want to make your midtones brighter like this. So there's a little bit more information going on there. So you have something to actually paint. Or you want the picture to be overall lighter, or you want it to be overall darker. I don't want that since the picture is already pretty dark right here. But I think I went with light and shadows a bit. And then I also use these handles to adjust it a little bit more. So that might be interesting for you if you prepare your reference file. Just play around with it and see if you find some adjustments that you might like. So yes, let's get started. I have, as I said, this beautiful picture right here. Where's my pen? Right here.
It is a lovely picture.
Isn't it? It's beautiful.
Yeah,
but you can also see it is a little bit blurry. So I actually also, when I was in there, I used some filters and it was sharpen edges. That's what I used. So if you have some blurriness there, you might adjust that too. So let's think about what I said last Monday. The first thing we want to do is we want to divide the painting into lights and darks. And the darks in here are the local color, everything that has a local color in this image, which would be, and I have a layer here that's called block in, and I choose a nice pen for that. Hard round might work, and I choose a color so we can actually see that. And let's take a look right here. That might be a little bit flow more here. There we go. There's darks. That's a dark shape right here. His hair is dark, so going this way. Also, his eyebrows are dark, right?
Yes.
Remember, everything dark is everything that has a dark local color, and we just want to find out what it is right now. It's also his pupils. They are dark right here, and his nostrils might be dark there, there. And you can see how easy this actually is to distinguish between them. Also, his beard is dark. So here's a shape right there, boom. And the rest of his beard there. And everybody who sees dark in there and hasn't watched the stream on Monday, you might be wondering, what about all the other dark shapes? And I'm going to explain that in a second. Before I finish up his shirt, And you see, I'm only pressing down by holding the shift key with my brush, so I can block this in just straight. So these are the darks. Now we're missing the shadows. So there's still dark in this image, dark shapes that we want to capture. So let's actually take a look at the shadows in here. Add another layer. I change the color to maybe some green. And let's look at the shadows in here. Where are shadows? There's obviously one big shadow shape right here on his lip, right?
Yes.
Right here underneath his lips is one. And here's a shadow shape, whoops, where his cheek turns away from the light source right here. Also here underneath his eyes, turning over here. And I would go so far to say there is a little shadow shape right here. You don't have to be obsessed, don't get obsessed about it, but might be interesting to get some shapes in there that just help the composition, Yeah. So there's obviously a big shape underneath his chin right here, there. And do we see something else? There is actually, this might not be a shadow shape right here. This might still be a halftone, but I think I would actually draw that in. And this is just the fun of knowing the rules and then breaking them. Because you're still the last person who has the saying in this painting. And it's good to know the rules, but it's also good to say, nah, F it, I do whatever I want. So here's also a shadow shape. That's a cast shadow underneath his eyelid. You remember the difference? The different two kinds of shadows that we were talking about. There are cast shadows and form shadows. So, for example, this on his eye ridge here, this is a form shadow. It is a form shadow because the light is hitting his forehead. Then the plane of his head is moving away from the light source, so it turns into shadow. Whereas the shadow under his eyelid right here is a cast shadow that has been casted by the eyelid. So that's the difference. But you have to actually merge them together for this exercise right here. So if I remove that picture for a moment, there's actually my shapes, okay? These are the shapes that I want to block in a moment when I start painting. So that's all you have to do. That's the first step. You want to divide the lights and the darks and find your shapes in the picture. So actually, let's do that. I remove that and start painting in the darks. So I choose my black right here, and let's see if I can find a nice pencil like this one. And if you have your brush selected, there is a nice shortcut that you can work with. It's on my computer, on my MacBook. It's Control Option, the Control Option key. If I hold that down, I can pull to the left and to the right and change the size of my brush. It's really nice, really neat. And now I want to take the flow down again because we're going to start painting here. Zoom out there. And if there are any questions coming in, just hit me now. And Tony, I want to ask something of you. When I say in a little bit, okay, I think I'm done with my darks, you will say, no, you're not. Check them again. Okay. So whatever I say or do, you will not let me start bringing in the halftones before I'm ready with this. Okay. Yep. Really important. Okay.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do here is actually start painting from the big shapes to the small shapes. You always want to start with the big shapes. They're easiest to mess up. And if we want to change something, we can always go in there and help ourselves. So I start at the top of his head and just try to see, here's his bun. And I'm trying to bring in the angles of the shapes that I see. That's all I do right here. And remember what I said on Monday, nobody gets that right in the beginning. And you don't have to, because we have these cool tools that will help us to actually go where we want to go. So just be bold, just paint in what you see. And the more you do that, the better your ability to see shapes will become. And rule number 1, be kind, don't stress it. Nobody will die because they painted in a shape that is not right. And even I have to check myself over and over again. I was like, I just said it, we work from the big shapes to the small shapes, and then I started fiddling with the eyebrow, and I have to remind myself, nah, not yet. Let's start big. Okay, so here's the chin, I would say, and I just paint that over here. And underneath his chin there, you see a little bit of his neck. Goes out again. And here I can already start to check some alignments that are in the original. Like, let me see if I paint another layer or another color. Like this. I could check, where is this line going? Where is this ending? Where is this going down? And you can actually see here, the end of his eyebrow actually ends also here at the bottom where his neck is. That's a helpful line. Some lines don't tell you anything. They don't give you a hint or a clue to anything, but some lines are really important. So I can already see in my painting that his eyebrow should either be more over here or his neck should be more over there. So I would say I have to change that eyebrow. First thing. See, you just have to look for the clues. The painting will tell you everything you need to know. And don't be afraid.
No. You don't get anywhere without trying.
Exactly.
And
like I said last week or last Monday, there are no mistakes. It sounds funny, but there really aren't. Whatever.
I like it when you're having your Mr. Poe moments. I love it. Master Poe.
Yeah, we watched Kung Fu again the other day, and Master Poe said something really, really cool. He said, "What? No, I have to make it right. Ha 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 ha, grasshopper. What is cowardness if not the wisdom of the body of its own weakness? And what is bravery if not the wisdom of the body of its own strength?" And it's the same thing. He's just brilliant. And I said to Russ, I wish there was a book with all the nice sayings that Master Poe actually ever did on the show.
He's in the chat, by the way. He said, "Hi, little baby."
Hey, baby. Okay.
So Daryl Fickling in the chat has been enjoying these portrait studies in fresco. He's having a play in fresco.
Yeah.
It's a very accessible way to work in fresco.
Yeah.
And apparently, Russell has just told you that there is a reference for all of those lovely little things. It's called the Tao Te Ching.
Yeah, of course, right? Because Master Poe is actually just referring to the Tao Te Ching. Yeah, right.
Yes.
Totally right. Okay, so I'm right here. I'm just covering the big shapes right here that are so obvious. And for a moment, I'm just going to block them in black. Like this. This is actually always the moment where, oops, something's glitchy. That's always the moment where I turn on my music or some nice audiobook or something to listen to on YouTube. And you don't want to tune out. This is not a moment where you just tune out. This is actually, there's a lot of thinking involved here. So you don't want to just go on autopilot. That's not the meaning of that exercise. This is actually a really important step, because if you mess that up, and again, there is no really messing up, but the more accurate you get these shapes, the more it will look like the original, okay? And as I said, you can actually spend a lot of time in here. And there's also
Kirsty, I was going to say, Kirsty's really enjoying these portrait studies, by the way.
That's great.
In the chat. We've got Jackie in now. Hi, Jackie. Hi, baby.
I actually looked at Kirsty's Behance portfolio today, and I was really impressed by her work. She does some really beautiful things. So I hit the follow button.
Nice.
Black.
It's all right. Jack has just responded with a hi, baby, in there.
That's totally new now.
Oh, so I'm gonna... I was just going to remind people in the chat about the criteria here, what they could win by taking part in this challenge, of course, which is a year's Creative Cloud, provided you haven't already won a year's Creative Cloud. You can't stack them. They're not like Lego bricks. I'll be 86 by the time that I've finished all of these challenge prizes that I've got.
Which is nice.
So it is. And so what they can do is they can post it on our Discord, and Tim is about to put that in the chat. I'm just using the power of my mind. Like that. Thought waves coming out right now. Going to pop into Discord. There it is. Okay. And submit there. We will be making decisions on Friday. Sadly, I won't be here. Julia will be along.
It's me and Tim, yeah.
And Tim. They'll be deciding on Friday to win. So that's really good. So, yeah, submit your portrait of either yourself or somebody else. That's entirely up to you. And yeah, there we go. That's how it's going to work. And of course, if you're on YouTube watching this right now, you'll be thinking, I can't see the link for Discord. So get yourself over to behance.net/Adobe Live. So you can see the chat, pick up the note for the Discord, come along, sign up on Discord, where you can have a great time, by the way, with everybody who joins in on there, and submit your own entry. See if you can win some Creative Cloud goodness. All that good stuff. Stream submission channel. Is that where it goes, Sean? Thank you very much for helping me out on that one.
I think so, yeah, right.
Yeah. There we are. Sean had my back just there. Danke.
Danke. Okay. Yeah?
You taught me one of my favorite ever German words, you did.
What is it?
Eierlegende Wollmilchsau.
Eierlegende Wollmilchsau.
Yeah.
Yes.
That took over New Car Smell as my favorite. My favorite was New Car Smell before, which is Neuwagen Group.
Yeah. Yeah, we have some funny words in German. We have this great ability of just adding words to each other and making them as long as we want, so it actually never stops.
Yeah. I found the longest official German word. I searched it, and it's got something to do with the factory.
Yeah. I don't have it in mind, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like unit number 9 of this factory, particular unit, business unit. It's just crazy. What an enormous long word. So
yeah, you could actually do that, like a bakery, office, door handle, color bucket, lawyer, and it makes sense, which is fun.
So good. So good.
Actually, something that I taught Russell was the first thing when he got here was I think my pig whistles, ich glaub mein Schwein pfeift, which means, are you kidding me? I think my pig whistles. So if you take anything away from the street today, it should be, I think my pig whistles.
Oh no, I think we should be taking this away because this is shaping up beautifully on here, by the way. And don't forget, we're still dealing essentially with those shapes, still blocking in.
Right. And it's actually taking up shape here now.
It certainly is.
And this is so easy. I hope you really find that easy too. Actually, Russell started painting on his iPad on Monday too. And when I came over to his place, I looked at his painting. I was like, awesome, it works. You understood what I was teaching you and you made a great painting. So yeah, this is awesome. So here on his ear, I want to do something that I told you. We have these, remember, if I look at the exercise files for the shapes, we have these tools right here. There are alignment, angle, implied lines, creaturizing, and measuring. And what I want to do on his ear is actually creaturizing, because if you look at that over here, I think that looks like a face hugger. Right?
Yes.
With his long tail. Creepy. And I think in between here, this looks like a cat sitting there.
Yep.
So that helps. That helps the brain to say, not an ear, just shapes.
I think we call that anthropomorphism.
Yeah, that's cool. That's a cool word.
I think that's the correct word for that. Or is that just things to give them a human resemblance? Do you know what? I'm going to have a look in a minute. I'll tell you. Yeah. But that's where you give characteristics to something which shouldn't otherwise have them.
So right now, what I see is that I already have some proportions that are not quite right. So if I look at his, let me just check. If I look at his eye right here, or his ear, the ear should actually be at the bottom of this eye and just hit this other eye right in the middle. So if I do that over here, yeah, maybe that's right. So I know his other eye should actually start right here. So this is helpful. Let me just block this in right here, because there's a light shape that's really important. And up here on his eye lid, this is not a shadow anymore. This is actually a halftone. So this belongs to the lights, and I will actually erase that out of my darks here. Okay. And I would say up on his eyebrow here, on his iridge, this could be reflected light. So I will leave that out. Reflected light belongs to the family of darks.
Tim, by the way, has anthropomorphism is relating to human characteristics. It doesn't relate to everything.
So facehugger doesn't count.
Yeah, no. There's another word, and I'm trying to think of what it is for. It's the same reason we find images in clouds and other things. It's the same reason we join things together, because our brains have to make sense of what they're seeing. They have to try and organize the thoughts. And also why the other day when you were painting, and you were talking about missing intentionally, like you were using John Singer Sargent and showing things which were intentionally had no detail in them because they're directing you throughout the painting. And it's that thing, because the eye fills in all of the gaps. You just assume that you see these things anyway, but you are being subtly
your brain does it for you. It's a pretty cool thing. It's
amazing. We photographed some John Singer Sargent. We went to the National Gallery together.
We did, right?
We did, yeah. I'm pretty sure we sought out some Sargent. So, yes.
I was actually, for my presentation, I was looking through these paintings because I was through these photos, because I was convinced that I actually took a picture of a Sargent, but I couldn't find it anymore.
I think you did. I'm sure you did.
So you can see the end of his earlobe right here actually should attach to his lips. So let's see if I got that right.
Pareidolia.
What is that?
That's the thing for putting a meat. In fact, Oliver has dropped this into the chat. Hi, baby.
Hi, baby.
The tendency for perception to impose a meaningful interpretation on a nebulous stimulus, usually visual. So one sees an object, pattern, or meaning where there is none.
That is cool. And when you think about it, Oliver. Yeah, it makes really sense for the brain to do that, because it's more important to see when there's a human or not than to be wrong that, something is a stick instead of a snake.
And also contrast is our key visual stimulus. We get that because, you don't want to be.
And that's actually what we are controlling when we're using values and edges. When you make something blurry, you already tell the brain, don't look here, because there's no information there. Okay, refining a bit here.
Michelle's saying, like the ink blot test. Yeah, the Rorschach test, they do have something in that, you can kind of discover people's underlying motivations, perhaps, by what they make of Rorschach. And Jackie's, we're getting all the long Latin words today with the thing. Jackie's chipped in with I'm not sure I've heard this one. Nephelococcygia, I think that is.
What?
I don't know. I'm going to check the pronunciation shortly, and I'll come back to it, or I won't. I don't know. There's your homework. Look in the chat, find that word from Jackie, and discover how to pronounce. There's not many I don't know how to pronounce. I don't know. God, I've lost control of the English language. There aren't many words that that I'm stuck by, but that's definitely a good one. And Tim's thrown in. Tim's also found a very long word for us. Hippotomonstro-equidalophobia. Fear of long words.
That makes total sense, that I can't even pronounce what I'm afraid of.
Oh, okay. Oliver's saying that Nephelococcygia is, and I apologize if I am pronouncing that incorrectly, is specifically looking for shapes in clouds. There we go.
Oh, it's just for clouds.
I was just for clouds. I mean, I was going for the broader sense of interpreting shapes into being different things, but yeah.
Okay, since I now have the what?
It's all right. Sean's kicking with Fusikas.
Maybe someone can find out what there are, you know, all these words for different fears that people can have. There's the fear of being afraid of ducks.
Being ducks?
Oh, of seeing a duck, of being afraid of ducks. Do you know that word?
No. Who would be afraid of a duck?
People are.
Ducks are lovely. I know, people are afraid of all sorts of things.
Some people are afraid of women.
Yes.
Since they are so like a duck, you know? It's just...
You know, Sharon, she's going to kill me for this. Sharon, it's not a phobia, but she does not like the feel of popsicle sticks, lollipop sticks.
Lollipop sticks?
Lollipop sticks.
Like the long...
Yeah, like the stick that you find in the bottom of a lollipop or a popsicle. Like,
okay.
You know, like an ice cream lolly. She does not like those at all. And when she first told me that, I laughed my head off. I said, nobody's afraid of lollipop sticks. And then I Googled it, and it was like number 4 in the thing of irrational phobias.
See? Many people are. That's interesting.
Yeah. No, she can't eat off wooden cutlery, Jackie. She doesn't like it.
Ah, okay.
She's going to beat me up. I'll get home.
Okay, so now I think I would move on to my halftones.
Yes. Oh, are you sure? Have you checked all the shadows first? And Russell, by the way, is saying photophobia. But have you checked all the shadows? Have you checked everything?
Yeah, you're right. I think I should do that again. Yeah.
Yes. Double check then.
Let's double check.
Thanks, Tim. I've got to read the chat. You know what this job is like.
I know you're busy. I totally get that. Okay, so I think I have the big basic shapes in there, and maybe even the proportions are kind of right, but I want to go a little bit deeper now, since every shape also has, you know, little angles, little bits that are a bit different that you don't see on the first glimpse. So let's actually take a look at this eye shape over there. This is pretty rough right here, and I would say that shadow goes down here on his nose, but it also comes in again a bit over here. Yep. And these are actually the small things. You don't want to jump into your halftones before you have that stuff. So this shape underneath his eye is actually in this angle. Goes down a bit. And then like this, more round. It's a bit lost over there. We will have that with shapes, with the edges later, where we can actually find a solution for these things. And one thing that is really important that you want to keep in mind, unless you're drawing Marty Feldman, the pupils are always the same angle. So right here, this curve has to be the same as this. There's no way they're different unless you have an issue with your eyes. So this actually is something that you can always remember, and it's important to get the eyes right.
Yes. You love, that was one of the things I was most impressed about when we first met. One, your drawings are fantastic. And 2, that you really liked drawing Marty Feldman.
They're over here. Wait a second, my word. Marty, right here on the bottom. You see how his pupils are they're just somewhere else. They don't care. The one eye doesn't care what the other eye does, but
have entirely their own orbit. It's just amazing.
Yeah. So if you want to draw or paint Marty Feldman, it's totally fine to do that. With most other people, you want to check the pupils.
Yes.
Oops. And what I'm doing actually is I'm already switching between the eraser and the brush tool. I paint in the shapes, and then I actually refine them a bit with the eraser tool. So if you look at my brushes, they don't have, except from the last 2, they don't have tool presets. That means I can use all of them as a smudge tool, a brush, or an eraser. They're not linked to the actual tool. And like this one, if I press that, it will always be the smudge tool.
Yes.
And I like that freedoms, because I just want to decide if I want to erase something or not, or smudge with it or not. So right now I'm really just double checking, are these angles right here? Make it a little bit clearer. Comparing. And you want to spend actually the most time in this process, because that will actually help not just to create a likeness, but to actually make sure the proportions of the face are right. You can already tell this is a human, and maybe it's not the same human as on the left side, but you want to get the proportions right, because that actually hurts if you spend all that much time, getting the values right and the edges and the shading and all that. And at the end of the painting, you actually like, all the time I was painting the pupil in the wrong place, and it pops out of you. So that's also a reason why you should take breaks. Just take a break, go somewhere else, look at something else, get back with a fresh brain and fresh eyes, and then you obviously stuff just jumps out at you.
Yeah, like I did a moment ago when I was looking for Russell's comment in the in the chat, and actually I said it was photophobia. It was lazy reading. It was phobophobia. Phobophobia, which is a fear of phobias.
Oh, being afraid of fear,
being afraid of phobias. So a phobia about phobias.
Mr. Poe would say, grasshopper, fear is the only thing that there is to fear. Or yes. No, he said there's nothing to fear but fear itself.
Yeah, fear itself. Yes.
Which is true.
And Sean came up with scopophobia.
What's that?
An excessive fear of being stared at.
Oh, wow.
Interesting. I love that we're getting all of this stuff thrown into the chat today. We're getting super extra value today. Tons of extra value.
Today we can learn what we can all be afraid of in our lives.
As Master Poe would say, nothing to fear.
Fear itself.
Yeah. And the fear of ducks apparently came from the Far Side comic strip, which of course you're far too young to.
I think it's even the fear that the duck looks at you.
Ducks are harmless, beautiful creatures. I love ducks.
Unless they peck you, then you would change your opinion about them.
No, I used to keep them. I used to keep ducks. They're very, very messy.
Yes, they are.
But I loved them. Unfortunately, we had a fox get into the garden.
Oh.
And
there's nothing to fear but the fox.
Nothing to fear but the fox.
If you're a chicken or a duck.
And even then, only if somebody leaves the gate open. But anyway, moving on. This was a long time ago, by the way. I haven't kept them in a long, long time.
Now you have bunnies and cats and dogs.
Bunnies, cats and dogs and fish.
And fish, right.
Yeah, loads of fish, yeah. Sharon bought me an aquarium last year. It's amazing. It's German aquarium. Jewel.
What? It's a German aquarium?
Yeah, it's from Germany. Jewel.
Ooh. I guess we make the best aquariums because we have so many oceans in Germany.
There's a very good aquarium, but I only keep little fish in it. I don't like aquariums with big fish in. So I don't think it's fair. I think little fish need loads of room to swim around. So I get tiny
I
fish,
always feel sorry
tiny
for
guppy
them.
Fish.
Yeah.
No, they're being looked after. They're having a great life. They're not being predated upon.
That's good. Don't knock on the glass.
No, that's no. So.
Okay.
Tim's asking if a German aquarium has beer instead of water. How's that going? That's shaping up pretty good from where I'm looking.
Yeah, I'm trimming his beard right now here.
Yeah, but you're right that that the important thing is this draft, what essentially is a drafting stage. You're setting the foundations for everything else.
Yeah.
And just like the act of physically building something, if you don't have a level base to start with, nothing that you do from there on in is likely to improve.
Shading and edges won't save us if we get the proportions wrong.
Yeah.
You cannot cover that up.
Yeah.
You can only look the mistake more three-dimensional. That's all you can do.
Yeah. You can try some tricks to get it right. Do some tricks.
Okay, since it's already 40, I will speed up a bit, clean it up a bit.
We're good.
We're
We're all good. Yeah, we're good. We've got 50 minutes, I think.
Oh, cool.
We're good.
Okay.
I don't know why I'm looking at my phone. I've got a massive great clock right in front of me. Right.
So I'm zooming out a bit right now, and there's something else that I like to do. I have that on my F6. It's just flipping the layer.
Yeah.
So you can actually check, does it still look like a human when he's looking to the right? Left,
Yeah.
right, left, right.
That's
left,
a good
right.
way to do it, to take care of your cognitive bias of one side. I also quite often flip things vertically to have a look at them from a completely different angle.
It's actually, that's a great exercise to actually understand that how your brain can trick you.
Yeah.
The cognitive bias is the right keyword there.
There's a way that you can do that by holding a pencil at arm's length in front of you and closing one eye and then swapping eyes over and seeing which way it moves, because it gives you an idea of which side of your brain is processing that information.
That's interesting.
Primarily, yeah. So, or so I'm told.
You know, I'm all about neuroscience. I'm really interested in that stuff. And I read the study that there was a group of people who, because of surgery or an accident, they had that big piece, that big part in the brain divided that actually keeps the two hemispheres talking to each other. They weren't talking anymore. So they showed these people, they covered one eye and showed them they showed them a picture of a naked woman on this side. And they started giggling. And then they asked them, so why are you laughing? And the people who couldn't process why they're laughing said they made something up, just for the cognitive thing that something was funny. I don't know what it was. I was thinking of something funny, but they couldn't actually process why they were laughing about that.
Strange.
It's very,
all
very
that
interesting
stuff that goes on in there. Crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, and Kath Redstone is in the chat. Hi, baby. She blurs her eyes sometimes to see how the form looks. And, squinting is a really good way. If you're drawing from life, squinting is a good... Do you agree, Julia? It's a good way to establish those shadows and everything. Because you start to limit the amount of light that's hitting the back of your eye. So then it becomes a contrast-only solution for your brain. And that's what starts to bring it down.
Also, it is good to get some really nice wrinkles. So when you draw a self-portrait next time, you have actually some nice characteristics in there.
Yep. You can join Julia and I's new channel on Art Lessons with Tony and Julia. Yeah, where it's just like this, only more fun, plenty more swearing, and of course, puppets.
That would be awesome.
We should make that happen.
Yeah. Now, look at one last thing that I want to show you here. It's a cool trick. Filter, liquefy. And in case I just totally have that eye wrong, I can just change the size here, take the pressure down a bit and say, oh, that's a bit big. All right, there. I think that should all be up here. Okay, so you don't have to redraw that. And voila. Whoo, that makes sense. Okay?
Yep.
Liquefy.
We're there.
Okay, I think I'm done with my darks right here.
Nice. You sure this time?
I am.
I think so.
Ha ha ha, grasshopper. There is no right time. There's only now.
Yeah. Jackie's asking in the test, which side is processing when it moves which way? Mine moved over to the right, and I am left brain dominant on mine. But there is a test. If you search, am I right or left brained, and you search, there's a site called Mental Up. Amongst others, this is just one of the top hit ones, which goes through a quick test with you.
That's interesting.
Will tell you which it thinks is your dominance. There you go. So Steve's asking where we post our entries. It's to Discord, right, Julia?
Yes.
that's where we're going. We'll post it to Discord, so the Discord channel, which Tim will pop into the chat again in just a second. Tim is reminding me that squinting is not the same thing as blurring your eyes, right? Defocusing is another method. Oh, taking me to task today. There we go. So, plenty of things going on and plenty of hi babies. There we are.
Hey, darlings.
Hello, darlings.
Hey. So, what's the next step? What do we talk about on Monday? Next thing is we want to bring our values.
Halftones.
Yeah, halftones. Right now, I only have the darks and some background that I chose, so I'm actually missing the light. So what do? We talked about that. We look at our original painting or drawing or photo or model, and we want to set up what the value range is going to be. And I already did this for this image, and Russell showed me a really cool thing yesterday. He watched our stream on Monday, and he said, there's another way of actually checking the values in here, and that is... Is
it with levels?
It is with the color sampler tool. And when when you choose that and you click down on your image, this little window will pop up, and it will give you this little point here, this little anchor point, and you can right click on that and say HSB, which will here is that number. You see it has this little number 1 up here. And this is also the number. It's the same. It's the reference to it. And it says here, brightness is 72%. So I can already see that my lights are between 80 and 70%. And I already set that up here on my value scale. And I also want to take a look at the halftones. This is between 50% and let's say 35. Yeah. This is 42, 62. So my halftones, I have actually a pretty big range. So I put that in here. And my darks, you can see, oops, but I've got a new point. I want to delete that for a second and just move this one down. 6%, 4%, 1%. So I would say 1 to 10%. So this is this range right here. So I already know that's how I have to separate my values. That's what I have to do. So I have a separate layer here. As you can see, it's kind of helpful that you keep your darks, your block in on a separate layer. Here are my lights. So I'm going to take that and actually block that in all over here.
And this, of course, is another reason why starting from a neutral gray background is very, very helpful, I think.
Yes. Yeah. That's also more comforting to the eye, I believe.
Yeah. Less stress on the eye.
Yeah.
Less energy consumed, of course, as a result. And
of course, it's because of the contrast. If you paint with black to white is a huge contrast. And it can also change here, actually, how I perceive the darks and lights, because it tricks your brain.
I buy pads that are grey too. So you've got, sketch pads that are grey.
Yeah, I like that much better.
Mm.
And I think the shape of the ear is a little bit off. That's why I go into the darks, use my Liquefy. Oops, and it did the eye again. Wait a second. I have to go into the window. Just move that over here a smidge. There, that's better.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so these are my lights. Let's now go to the halftones, and I will actually put that somewhere where it doesn't distract me, like right here. Painting in the halftones, and I just take the middle, and I'll keep painting. And where is my halftone? I can see that these planes right here, that's where the light is. Hits it like a 90-degree angle, it's right there.
Perpendicular.
Perpendicular, thank you. So everything that is not perpendicular to the light source will be turned into a halftone. That's where we're going. Right here.
You do make this look so easy, it's the thing is, it's years of relentless practice. And I mean, I know how hard
I wouldn't call it. I wouldn't call it relentless. I'm not relentless.
No, you don't think? All right, dedicated then. We'll switch it out to dedicated.
I think being interested in something and actually being intrigued by it will take you much further than being hard or relentless. I've been relentless, and it almost made me stop doing it, because there was a point where I was like, if it makes me suffer so much, why am I doing it? And that was a point where I'm like, why be so serious about it? I really love that. Already as a child, I love it. Why make it so hard? Who cares what other people think? And if this turns out right, I love that process. And look how fun that is and how easy it actually is. And if you leave all that baggage away, it's just cool. It's just good. Fun. All these are methods. Here we go.
Reverb Mike is saying, if you paint dark to light, it better mimics how light works. Absolutely true. Very good. I agree.
It's true.
Yep.
I'm really looking forward to all the submits that you will bring this to Friday. I'm really intrigued by what you come up with. Oh, that's the first pass. That's the pretty rough block in of the halftones right now. But as we said, there are differences in between there, and that's what we want to do now.
So what do you think Master Poe would say about this particular stage in the drawing?
Oh, what would he say? What am I supposed to say? That's a good question.
There doesn't have to be an answer. He might say nothing. He might just become lost in the moment. Might just take the moment for what it is and just say, nothing to add. Yeah.
So just look at the planes right here. There is this three-dimensionality of his face. So underneath his cheek, this plane is facing away a bit from the light source, so it's getting darker. That's how that whole thing actually works. Right here.
Oh, Russell's hi baby. Russell's Russell has Master Poe's comment.
What is it?
The future of this painting is deeply rooted in its past.
Ooh, that is brilliant, actually. That is
very good.
That is really good.
And if you think about it, that's exactly correct, because the foundations that were laid in the beginning of the life of this particular painting, will determine how successful it is in the future. So, flip that, and it's very good. Nice one, Russell.
I love that.
And apparently, Kath Redstone in the chat is saying that the same theory in makeup design, contouring, highlighting.
Right.
There you go.
Right. That's totally true. Right.
Yeah. Now, Chloe studied theatrical makeup and film makeup. So I shall ask her later and she'll tell me all about that, I'm sure. Kath's also loving the Kung Fu references. I used to love that show too.
Yeah, I love it so much. It's just, and I think there's nothing out there. And Russell and I, we talked about if they do it, a remake of that, who would be the best actor for it? And
who did you come up with?
I think it was we talked about Jet Li or Keanu Reeves.
Yeah.
Would you like to see someone's?
I think that show was very much of its time, and I just think that these days you'd be struggled to make that show.
Yeah.
Because it wouldn't have enough dollar moments to make it through that's the problem.
I would watch that.
Yeah. Kath's also saying My Old World, Tony Homer. Is that an old world of martial arts? I used to do Hard to believe, I know these days, but I went to a martial arts academy for a couple of years.
Cool.
Yeah.
What I'm doing right now is I went to my light layer, I locked the transparent pixels, and now I'm also painting in that little bit of a value range that I have in there, because not all the lights are the same brightness, you know. Especially when you think about the face, like this part is closer to the light source. If the light source is right here, this part of my face is closer to the light source than this part. Even if this plane is facing the lights, it's further away. So the light actually loses energy and it can't be as bright here as it would be here. So even over the course of the face in the lights, there is differences. And rule of thumb, with depending on light source, the further away, the little bit darker it will be. And now I will do the same with the darks, actually, because even the darks have a spectrum, so a color range. So I also lock the transparent pixels here, so I don't paint over the layer over the shapes that I already blocked in. And I'm going in to get the brightest, lightest dark that I have. And what's the cool rule of thumb that I told you last week? The lightest darks right here will always be darker than the darkest lights, which would be the darkest halftone.
Yeah.
And that because we keep them so apart, that's why it actually looks so realistic. But look here in his hair, not everything in there is dark.
Right.
Not even his eyebrows, not everything is dark in there. And here is the reflected light that I talked about. So here over his left eye, there's reflected light coming in.
Well, they're loving this today, Julia, really are.
Cool. I love it too.
And I hope you're noticing I am switching between Julia and Julia as agreed.
Thank you. Every 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Fantastic. You actually can make a lot of mistakes with that method. You're always on the safe side if you stick to the rules. Because think about it, you have a black shirt right here. If you wanted to paint that from without a plan, you would just dive in and you would say, oh, there's shadow and there's shadow. And you would make that shadow just as dark as the shadow under his eyes. But it doesn't have to be. So that's where you keep the realism in here.
Kirsty's drawing along with you, by the way.
That's cool. Awesome.
Nice one, Kirsty. And I think the lightest darks will be lighter than the darkest lights.
Right.
That struck a chord with Anika, I think.
And here,
it's going very deep out there now. We're all just made of molecules. Hurtling through space. Everybody's going to have a Zen afternoon.
I like that. I have my green tea right here. So we have 30 minutes left. And what I'm going to do right now is to be done with my value ranges. That was really quick. I just threw them in there. And now what I always like to do is I just duplicate my layers just in case I want to go back there one day. I group them and I hide them. So here's what I want to do now. I'm going to smudge that because next step is actually edges, because this is just shapes still, you know, there are halftones in there and all the values, but the shapes, they're all kind of hard and that's just not realistic too. So let's take a look at our last slide that we had last Monday. It was hard, soft, and lost edges, and we can actually control where we put them. So you will actually see in a bit that working with edges also blends, you know, all the beautiful shapes together and make it look really, really real. So I have my smudge tool right here, make that a little bit bigger. And I'm on my dark layer and I have to unlock transparent pixels. That's important. And I'm going to start smudging. You can also use the brush tool, but I would actually think that this might be more fun for you. And the actual danger here is to not smudge it so much that it all just looks like a huge blur. So
yeah, you still got to be conscious of the form.
Right, you have to be in control of that and still keep the values in mind. And I have my smudge tool set to strength of 6%. You can go crazy and put it, wherever, and you see what it would do. Just try yourself out. Mine works pretty well here at 6%, or take it down again. Maybe 8. So
do you know when I was a student, Julia? Because as you know, I did fine art before I switched over to graphics.
Right.
When I was doing that, I used to do lunchtime portraits in the student union. I'd just
that
be
is
there
fun.
at an easel, and people would come along and sit for an hour, and I had to try and capture them in an hour.
Oh, that's fun.
It was good fun. It was good fun.
Yeah, and I
still got loads of them.
I would suggest that for Friday too, since we have a session on Friday. Everybody who doesn't want to participate in the challenge and you don't want to paint your own painting, you can also submit just your photo, because we want to do I would say 2 or 3 quick paintings on Friday with the stuff that you send in. So if you want a portrait of yourself, submit that to Discord too. And if you don't, I will just choose something from the internet. And we will practice the fundamentals.
Sean's had to dip out now, but he's going to watch the rest of it later on. Bye, baby.
Bye, baby. And here I actually see that I made a mistake. The halftones, they shouldn't be right here. There's actually light. So I will just remove that from the eyelid right here.
Oliver's saying, can I just smear paint over my face and squash it into some paper? You can try that if you want, Oliver. You'll just get an interesting, but somewhat distorted result. But, it's...
Back to the darks.
Yes.
And here is a form shadow. So first thing you want to do, that's also important, cast shadows and form shadows. Form shadows most of the time have a soft edge, unless the form breaks really abrupt, If it's a smooth, if it's a smooth shape, the shadow runs over it, it's smooth. But if it's like a box or a triangle or a square or whatever, yes, there is a hard edge, but everything that is round should have a smooth edge.
It's the thing people forget, when they switch their brain off and literally drop into neutral, they forget that the eyes are spheres inside of our face, and they have all of the characteristics of a sphere.
I like to say that you don't need a lot of anatomy to work with this kind of method. You don't have to know that where the bones are and the jaw is and the structure of everything, but it definitely helps. It definitely helps to have it. Nothing wrong with knowing all that stuff. And especially the nose also is a ball. The tip of the nose is actually a ball. It varies from person to person, but most of the time it is a sphere. That means there is actually a shadow falling down here. There's no really a hard edge on this particular one. So what you actually have here is a lost shadow. I wouldn't call it a soft shadow. There's actually shapes that just merge into each other, and that is the beauty of it. You don't really know where his nose ends there. Same over here. It's a pretty smooth shadow.
I wonder if you should post this back to Unsplash or to the photographer Hanif Castle there, and just so that he can send it on to the model, because the model should know that he's been painted by you.
Maybe he would. Maybe he would like that.
Yeah, I think so. Shaping up lovely. Been a great day in the chat today. Plenty of stuff going on. Some people getting very deep. Not so much of the usual banter today. You know what it's like over here.
To get metaphysically.
There's a lot of the bants goes on here, but here they get spend some deep stuff, and
cool. I like it.
Really captured the imagination of the chat.
Cool. Whoa.
Fantastic. There you go. Yeah. And Tim's dropping in with some stuff here, knowing things are important. He's talking in the middle of a chat, but this the end part of it, saying, knowing this is important because to properly break the rules, you have to know them first.
Totally right.
Absolutely.
As you can see, while I'm smudging that, sometimes it can happen that a shape gets lost, or actually it's turning out as a shape where I see, actually, I was a little bit wrong there, a little bit off. That's totally fine. That's the process of it. And then you just bring it back in.
Yeah. Tim's just putting in usual banter several times, just so there's plenty of usual banter in here. Reverb Mike has hosted the cat who walked through walls did not know it was supposed to be impossible.
Right. That's cool.
I can still remember the theme tune to Kung Fu, by the way.
Yes, it's an incredible long intro.
Yeah. Do 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 do.
Right.
It was the 70s, man. Everybody was watching that.
Yeah, I really like the show, and we keep saying that over and over again. We're really impressed on how they addressed actually things like racism back then or sexism. Yeah. It was a pretty bold show actually at that time.
Very.
Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah. Anika, by the way, Annika or Anika, I don't know which way. There's a couple of different ways that can go, so apologies if I'm getting it the wrong way around, but I think it's Anika. It's saying the mouth is definitely the most difficult for her. Any tips to capture the light there? Because there's a lot of surfaces there, right? A lot of different.
That's
there's
right.
A lot of angles going on in the mouth.
The best thing always is to just simplify it as much as possible. And I will go back to his mouth in a moment, and then we can talk about that. Right now, I'm smudging the halftones a bit. Blend them together. Because they are really in the realm of soft edges here. Most of them. Like here on his nose. That's more like that should be a hard edge actually, because the shape of his nose on top is really making a hard turn there, and it turns into the shadows. Or, the top of the nose is a plane, and then it turns into the side plane. So there's a hard edge actually.
Nice. Let's see how we're doing on time. Well, we've got about 20 minutes.
Yeah, that's good.
Left today. It's amazing. It's flying past us. Just. I've got to tell you from here as well. You know how it is when you're a guest or a host on here. How you can see the thumbnails of everything else that's going on.
Yeah.
And of course, I've got the thumbnail of the screen above it. And to be honest, the two things are almost indistinguishable between the photo and what you're painting. They are so remarkably alike.
Yeah, and it's the shape and the values. There's not much more to it. It's that simple. And I really would love that if you guys could really capture that and understand that, so you can use it in the future.
Nice. Oh.
And who watched carefully will actually notice that I just cheated a bit. I went out in the dark, out of my halftones, and I'm painting in some details here that are a bit lighter than that. I use my texture brush. Because what we actually do is we simplify it in the beginning, we simplify, and then we bring in back the details if we want. But you can already see that this actually works. You don't have to work with a lot of details right now, but it can be fun. Okay, so let's.
Someone's asked. Oh, go on. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
No, it's okay. Someone was actually asking me a question there about exams. I'm just going to give them a quick answer. Use the product and study.
Yeah. That's actually the best way to learn, I guess.
Mm.
And now I actually want to really get in those lost edges over here.
Yeah.
Because who knows what that looks like? Who cares what that looks like? It just doesn't matter.
Yesterday's history, tomorrow's a mystery. Today is a gift. That's why it's called the present.
That is from Kung Fu Panda, one of my most favorite movies.
It is Kung Fu Panda.
That was Master Oogway talking there.
Oogway.
And now you can actually see that maybe that background almost could, blur into his face here, and we lose some edges. That could be fun. To just, lead the eye to the most important thing, which is actually the center of his face here.
Mm.
Okay, so let's take a look at the mouth, because I think something needs to be worked on there, more details. So what I want to do is actually delete some shapes here in the darks. Oops, that's too much. There, bringing back some details in his moustache. And also the halftones could be gone here, because there's obviously light reflecting from his upper lip.
Are you going to indicate any of those highlights inside of the ear, or do you not think they're...
In the ear?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the clock right now, and I think we could do that, but I believe that the lips are more important just for the overall composition.
Oh yeah, definitely. No, I just didn't know.
But if I had time, I would, totally write. There's highlights in his ears that we covered with midtones here.
Yeah. No. What you're doing is fantastic. Honestly, it's just a question. I was just interested. I find ears fascinating.
Me too. I just spent, I think, a whole month when I was studying art just on the ears and the different, their anatomy, actually, the little shapes in there and how they work. And then you start actually, transforming them and seeing how you can actually push them into like elves and Dr. Spock stuff and have fun with them.
Do you still go to the atelier?
No, not right now. Because of COVID, everything is just...
Oh, of course, yeah.
No.
I keep forgetting about the huge pandemic that's kept us all indoors.
Yeah, me too. It's just not on my radar.
You're not. But that's because we normally work indoors anyway. We don't go anywhere.
Yeah, my life hasn't changed.
No. And don't forget, everybody, you can join in on the Discord. That's where you can get chatting to people before you go submitting your work in time for Friday. Yeah, that's when you've got to get it in there, really. You can chat away. People chat there day and night. And if you want to recap on any of the things Yulia did on Monday or today, you can always watch them on demand on YouTube. And Tim has very helpfully just popped the Discord into the chat. So you can just go ahead and join that.
So you see, I'm still actually changing the shapes a bit here of the lips. And you can do that at any stage in the image, but it's wiser and it's better if you cover these problems in the beginning. So you don't have to do that. But by keeping these layers separated, by having your dogs, halftones and lights on separate layers, that's actually very helpful if you want to make adjustments later on.
Reverb Mike in the chat is now coming out with quotes from Star Trek.
I think that's what we want to watch next. I mean, we have 2 seasons of Kung Fu in front of us, ahead of us, but I think that's what we want to watch next.
To say you have no choice is a failure in imagination. Jean-Luc Picard.
Right.
There we go.
That's brilliant.
I love that the slightest indication here is that you're making at the moment is bringing out texture with almost effortlessly. You really are nailing that.
The values are doing it for me, actually. That's the beauty of it.
Very good.
And here around the eyes, that's actually my focal point, right? That's where I want to actually keep the edges hard. That's where I want the most contrast and edge to be. So.
Those are the things to keep, aren't they? The eyes and the lips are the things that we kind of rely on, those strong edges.
That's where we also look when we look at someone. That's our first thing we look at. And you see that this actually doesn't have any highlight in his eyes, because people tend to, and I used to too, that the highlights and the details, they should save the picture, but they won't. These things will save the picture, the shapes, the edges. And putting in a highlight there wouldn't save my work at all if I already, wouldn't have the right shapes.
It's great. The Russell's drawing as well. That's fantastic.
Yeah, isn't that cool?
Yeah. Nice one, Russell. Really good. Russell's not sure he'd call it that. Cave drawings. Because I like to start every show in the green room with a giggle. So I told Julia I was joining in, and I was drawing as we were. Oh dear. Wow. So we're in about the last 10 minutes.
Yeah,
now.
so let's tackle this other eye. That's still a bit unprepared here. And I have to make a decision now. I think I'm going to remove that shadow shape right here, the darks, and go into the lights with it, into the halftones.
Annika is asking, is that a portrait or a caricature? She means my thing on a post-it note. It's leaning towards a caricature, but it's essentially a bunch of scribble just to make Julia laugh before we started today. And does Julia do caricatures? Yes, she does. And in fact, I am fortunate enough to have been caricatured.
Oh, that's still hanging there.
By Julia twice, not just once, twice. And we showed them on a live stream.
Did we? Twice?
Yeah. We did the Telegram stickers.
Right, of course.
Yeah, nice. So 3 times I've been caricatured by Julia. Actually.
That was a huge character. That's right.
Mm. If you search through the YouTube live streams, Annika, you will find them on there. So just find myself and Julia. When did we do that? It was quite a while ago, wasn't it?
I think that was
a year ago.
Last year, yeah?
Yeah.
It's been so long since I've been here.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I love that sticker. I send it to people
We're still
just
using
randomly.
it. We're still using it in Telegram.
Yeah. Yeah. But I send it to other people as well. People that join Telegram who I know.
That's fun.
I send it to them.
That's cool to have your own stickers.
It is. We need to complete the set.
We should we should make more.
Yeah. We should. I'm just having a quick flick through my photos here to see if I can. Oh, there we go. I've got it 4th of December 2020. I'm going to drop this up to my camera. So there we go.
Yes. Yeah, and you animated. That was cool.
Yes. Glowing kisses. Lots of little love hearts. Is it the one with the Santa hat? No. Did I do one with the Santa hat? Not in the stickers.
We have? Did we? No.
Might have done, actually.
No, it was the nun and you with that propeller hat.
Yeah, propeller hat. Yeah, naughty Tony. Yeah. So good. And you did that cool Star Trek book cover, which you did with myself and Russell on.
Oh, he used my book cover on his course beyond CMYK, right?
Yeah, but you did a Trouble with Tribbles.
That was on the German Adobe Book Club, right?
Yeah, it's the easiest way through to my heart. That is drop some Star Trek in there.
I know.
Wins.
Okay, we have a couple more minutes. So I, as you suggested, will also paint in some highlights here on here.
Yeah, I only think we need just a tiny touch in there, just to like you're doing right now, which is really good. So everybody, as we are inside of the final 10 minutes, once again, just to remind you, you could win a year's Creative Cloud. Wow, that's the all singing, all dancing, all things Creative Cloud. Right, so all of that good stuff, provided you've not won one before. Okay, you can't do it before. You can still enter. You can enter if you've won one before, but you can't win that. But you can still get a notable mention if you're doing some good work. It's worth doing that. So we're going to do that now. How do you enter? This is the thing. So what you do is you put your submission into the submissions channel on our Discord, and the Discord is here in the chat, so you can find that. If you're watching on YouTube, quickly jump across to behance.net/Adobe Live, where you'll find it just there. Okay, so you pop those submissions in, get them in by Friday morning, please, so that we've got them to look at during the live stream on Friday. And I think you're on with Tim on Friday.
Mm-hmm, that's right.
Julia and Tim together on Friday. And then you get a chance and we can have a look. We can have a gallery moment. I should be watching from afar. I'll be tuning in myself to have a look. I'm sure they're going to be epic. So, yeah. And it has to be a portrait of yourself or an Adobe Live host.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, but it's all Paint Pony, right?
Oh, no. It's just going to be tons of poop emojis, isn't it? All right. Okay. Yeah, it's just going to be a huge beard. That's the thing. I think there's a grass brush inside of Photoshop. And all you've got to do is 2 big dark crow's feet things for the eye shapes. Yeah. And my usual facial expression.
Yeah, I would actually like to see some halftones and edges in there. And if you do that with the beard, you're golden. Absolutely. With my killer whale DNA on the side here. Other hosts are available. If you don't feel like drawing me, you could draw maybe somebody like Maddie or Tanya Hildebrandt or Melanie Divide or Julia. You could draw Julia or Julia. Draw Pauline with her mad hair. Pauline Goyard from the French. Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. Her hair is spectacular. Yeah, it is. She's in Bali at the moment having a holiday. If you're watching this, Pauline, stop, have a holiday. I hope you're having a great one. Right. Mwah. Hi, baby. You could draw Emma or Rufus. You could draw. Rufus has got a face for drawing. Rufus has got some real character in his face. He'd be great to draw. Or you could draw some of the US hosts if you want to. So we've got plenty of people over in the US. Draw Claudia. Draw Paul or Terry. There we go. I've got to say, because we're in the last sort of couple of minutes now, that I have, as I always do, enjoyed spending time with you on this and watching you work. So good. Oh, thank you for I'm glad you all of the learnings. Oh, it's been epic. And thank you for all of the learnings and all of the wisdom that you're handing out. It's nice that you've got a wisdom tag team going on these days. So you can, you know, Russell, hi baby, that you can that can feed these nuggets of wisdom in. Very good. And they're still coming in, by the way. Reverb Mike, who must be Googling like crazy to find these things right now. I am not lost, for I know where I am, but however, where I am may be lost rank. Very good. Steve's saying, really cool sketch, Julia. Oh, thank you, Steve. Anika's saying, thanks, Julia and Tony and Tim. Angus is saying, excellent stuff, Julia and Tony. Thank you. Did you notice I did the switch there, Julia, to you? With the 5-minute agreement? Yeah. Awesome job in the host chair, Tony Homer. I'm just a puppet, Steve. That's not true. Julia's doing all the awesome stuff. Yeah, okay. Let's call that the finish, okay? Perfect. Thanks, everyone. Thank you, Julia, for doing this. Thank you for having me. Incredible. Oh, man, amazing. I just love it. Master Post saying, you rock, Julia and Tony. There you go. Hi, baby. Thanks, baby. Well, what I really hope is that you guys see how easy that actually is and how much fun you can have and how much fun you can have with expressing yourself, especially in portrait painting and painting someone you like or maybe you don't like, who knows, yeah. But yeah, so that's it. And remember the challenge on Friday. Yes. And remember that we also would like to see some just photos. If you want me to paint you on Friday, just submit them into the Discord too. So you have a chance to get a portrait of yourself. Perfect. Right. Thanks, everyone. And thank you again, Julia, for this. Don't forget, post your entries to Discord. Have a lovely rest of the week. See you on Friday. Bye. Bye.